Hello everyone, I'm here because I would like to share what I have learned from teaching online with as many people as possible due to the fact that many people are jumping into online teaching overnight and of course learning from my past experience teaching design for universities. I am well aware how challenging it can be. So what I would like to do is to share 5 simple tips with everybody that can help you to deliver a good online class. So the tip number 1 is the following. First of all, you need to make sure that all your setting and tools are well organized and ready to go once you go online. I am talking about live classes here, so I'm not talking about doing videos like this. My advices are focused on doing live classes. So first thing off is it's obvious, but I guess I have to mention it. Make sure that your internet speed is good enough. In particular, your upload speed has to be good enough. Also, make sure that you are in a quiet room so you don't have any background. Try to kill any extra sound that might disturb the way you talk to the students. If you need it, you can use headphones because sometimes it's very difficult to understand what they're talking and maybe their sound is not good enough. Also, I would advise to use an extra lighting as well. There is nothing more annoying than looking at somebody that you can't really read the face and the facial expression. So if you can use a task lamp. You don't have to use a buy one. You can just use a task lamp to make sure that you have light on your face and students can see you very well. Of course, your camera, your laptop, everything has to be set up so you are in the right position within the frame. Also, pay attention to what is your background. And one thing that you need to do also is that you need to tell and ask your students in advance to do the same. Perhaps ask them to be in a quiet place, to use headphones as well. One thing that I want to say since the beginning is that online teaching is really 50-50. It's like 50% the instructor and 50% is the people you're talking to. So they need to be aware in the right setting as much as you do. So this is going to work well because they might experience some internet problems. They might use their phones. There might be some noise. This will make everything incredibly frustrating. So double check that they are okay too. The second tip is about preparation and planning. In online teaching, it is incredibly important that you prepare everything in advance. Not only that, you also have to tell the students what is going to happen beforehand. Send them a message, send them an email with the program of the lecture, for example. This is because you don't want to improvise too much. You have a limited amount of time, of course, whether it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You need to make sure that you know what you're going to do. Write it down. Make sure that it's very clear. Prepare it in advance. One thing that many people will experience right now is that they will soon realize that whatever you've been doing for your face-to-face classes is now completely obsolete because doing online teaching is extremely challenging and you need to prepare things from scratch, unfortunately, meaning you have more work to do in order to set up everything is going to happen during the online classes. So, but it's incredibly important that you prepare things in advance. Don't just jump into online teaching thinking that, oh, well, it's just the same. It's not. It's much more challenging. And from your side, you need to do some extra work. Remember, it's 50-50. So you need to be prepared. The students have to be prepared. The students need to know in advance what's going to happen. This will give them a specific direction, goals to be achieved. And they don't just sit there waiting for you to tell them what to do. They know already that something is going to happen, and that is going to be extremely useful for both sides of the screen. Tip number 3, and this is, if you want to take anything home from this video, is this one. Activities and interaction. The level of interaction in an online class should be incredibly high, much higher than a face-to-face class. Why? Because the attention span of most students is very limited, plus watching somebody talking endlessly on the screen is incredibly boring. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do instead is that for each class that you have, whether it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, make sure that you have mini lectures. If you need to show them slide because you have a lot of theory, for example, you can do that, of course, but you need to limit the quantity of these, or at least break them down and alternate, basically. A little bit of lecture, 15 minutes, maximum 20 minutes, don't go over that. And then you have a moment of interaction. What does it mean, interaction? Interaction means that you need to give students something to do. That could be anything. And this is where preparation comes into place. You need to prepare all of these activities beforehand because you don't want to improvise, okay? It could be anything. It could be watch a video. It could be sketch something and send it back to me. It could be, for example, do a little bit of research on this specific subject and send me something back. Whatever that might be, it has to be prepared in advance, and you need to make sure that the students are engaged. That's why you need these activities. These are probably the most important thing of any online class you want to do, especially if it's live. You need to make sure that they do something all the time and that they send you back something, which brings me to the fact that besides any software and application you might be using, whether it's Skype for Business, Zoom, Webex, whatever that might be, make sure that you also have a supporting app. A supporting app means WhatsApp, means Line app. Why? Because you can use these applications to have still an ongoing conversation before and after the class, but also during the class they can use this application to send you, for example, a screenshot, a picture of something that they're doing, a little video, and on top of all of that, you can also do review live with them while you're doing the online class. So besides your main application that you use for the online class, you need to have, or you should have, a supporting application that can help you to interact with them even more. The tip number 4 is about review sessions. I work with the students very often doing projects, design project, but everybody in any educational system has projects to do or assignments to develop. So one thing that is important is that you understand that in an online class, you are a little bit like their assistant. In other words, you are working with them. You might have a class where basically they're just working, but in order to make you and them more engaged, what you want to do is that basically you ask them to send you something, whatever it is that they're working on, and you can even do live feedback. Live feedback is very useful because they're watching you doing something while you're talking over it, so they can really get a good feedback. On top of that, I also send them emails, pictures, on PDFs, on WhatsApp, whatever that might be, because I want to give them a digital evidence of what's going on. That's why you need all of these supporting application, because you really have to have a conversation, whether you're doing an online class, you're just talking, whether you're doing a review, you need to make sure that there's a high level of interaction. Make sure that they always give you something back. Don't just assign them something and leave the room, so to speak. You need to make sure that they give you something back live, so they are working while you're doing the class, and they always feel like you are there with them to support them. Actually, I discovered that this is actually even more effective than face-to-face feedback, because they really feel like you are working with them on whatever project they are doing. They really feel like you are their fellow student and in the same team. So this could be incredibly effective if done correctly. The last piece of advice is what you should never do, or you should try to limit in doing. First of all, avoid as much as you can static screen sharing slides with voiceover, okay? You can do that in a normal class, I guess, for as long as you want, although students will fall asleep most of the time. But in online teaching, this can go horribly wrong. So what you want to do is to always limit these moments where you are talking and showing them slides as much as you can. Avoid static slides with too much text, okay? Because there's not physical time to read it. So what you want to do is that you can show some text, but it has to be a little bit like an advertising, right? A billboard with a little bit of text, a big picture, something like that. And then you talk about it in the most engaging way possible. And you do that for as little as possible. 10 minutes, 15 minutes should be the rule. What do you do after that? Well, what you do after that is that you always put some activities in. The activities have to be related to whatever it is that you're talking about. And like I said, it can be something incredibly small, like watching a video that is related to the activity, to the mini lecture that you've been doing. One thing that you want to avoid also is that don't just start an online class and improvise. That's really dangerous because you might find yourself having nothing to say or nothing to do. So again, prepare in advance. Avoid long monologues. Everything has to be, what I'm trying to stress here is that you need to make sure that you have a lot of variety in your online classes. You need to do a lot of things. You need to make sure that many things are happening within 1 hour, for example. And that is why, and that is the reason why online classes to me seem to be much more challenging than face-to-face interaction, because you have an obligation almost to make sure that there's a lot of variety in your classes. The last thing I want to say is that it won't hurt you to rehearse and prepare in advance whatever you have to do in the online classes. With that said, these are the most important tips I can give you right now for your online teaching. I wish you good luck, stay safe, and enjoy your online teaching.